Yeah. Here is the ADL, another very important responsible party for the TikTok ban in general. Okay.
You must, we must, you must take this deadly seriously. Pushing extremists off Wikipedia might not seem equal to...
By the way, they got this across. They got a bunch of the Wikipedia editors banned off of Wikipedia. The ADL actively worked to undermine Wikipedia's editorial integrity because they were upset that Wikipedia was straight up reporting the truth on the issue of Israel. And that's exactly what they did. They got them fired. They like, you know, took out a bunch of Wikipedia editors recently.
The challenge of pushing Hezbollah north of the Litani River. Capturing TikTok might seem less meaningful than holding on to Mount Hermon. Libelous tweets certainly might seem less deadly than missiles from Yemen.
Yeah, he's saying that this is a full-scale war and information is a major component of it, and we have to control these platforms. We have to enforce our will upon these platforms. Understand what he is saying here. It is so ridiculous, man.
But this is urgent because the next war will be decided based on how Israel and its allies perform online as much as offline.
So you'd say there is not a disproportionate amount of youth on TikTok or pro-Palestinian sentiment than other platforms? Than on other platforms? Wait, what? No, I'm not denying that. I'm saying that that is the reason why they want to ban it. Hello? Do you have an issue with that? Do you have an issue with that? Okay, that's what I thought. I was confused. No, there is definitely not a disproportionate amount. There's just like a proportionate amount that reflects reality, okay? What are we doing here at this point? Here's the original Greenblatt tweet from 2023. An intercepted communication, leaked audio of ADL Chief Executive Jonathan Greenblatt freaking out because global youth aren't buying Israel's propaganda anymore. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old.
True.
And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, they're actively and openly stating it. They're like, yeah, we want to ban it because people are seeing the truth about what Israel is doing, and that's completely unacceptable. And we can't have that. We can't have that.
And we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation, and the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped
like they're talking about young Jews, by the way. Like, they're saying young Jews are too pro-Palestinian, and they're getting radical in the face of like Israel's genocide. It's completely unacceptable. Also, long tracked Think about that. They've been tracking the statements of students for Justice for Palestine. They've been monitoring Jewish Voice for Peace, like anti-Zionist activists. Interesting.
To like Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups.
Like they literally have, they're like, we have spies. We have spies inside of these groups. We have spies inside of groups like Jewish Voice for Peace. We have spies inside of groups like Students for Justice for Palestine. Isn't that weird? This is supposed to be a civil rights organization, chat. A civil rights organization. It's supposed to be tasked with combating anti-Semitism. And they're over here spying on Jewish students for the crime of being anti-Zionist. Make no mistake. They've done this before. They were doing this alongside apartheid South Africa back in the day. In the 90s, they got busted for quite literally doing this surveillance and spying and smear campaign on anti-apartheid activists of Jewish background even back then. Labor activists, labor organizers, American Jews who were against the apartheid in South Africa, they, at the ADL, were working alongside the apartheid South African government and spying on them.
Saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like the language in their toolkits was all about the Zionist entity and lots of other language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
What does South Africa have to do with Israel? Great question. Well, they were both very important, valuable allies during the Cold War. They're both fascists and they're both apartheid regimes. They relied on one another for developing nuclear capabilities. Not the current South African leadership, of course. I'm talking about apartheid South Africa. People calling that chatter a dumbass as if most people don't. Yeah, most people don't know about this, for the record. Yeah, so. That's why I said, good question. Second paragraph, last sentence. Yeah. It also worked with the NAACP to discredit the far-right Naspara operation. In the 1980s, it was involved in the propaganda against Nelson Mandela of South Africa before embracing him the following decade. Do you know why he mentioned Taglit? Taglit. He mentioned Taglit. He said the brilliant minds that came up with Taglit. Birthright. He's saying birthright is an incredibly valuable, an invaluable tool of propaganda for young American Jews. He's saying the brilliant minds that came up with the concept of birthright to do pro-Israeli propaganda should also be able to, deal with this TikTok issue. It's Tagli, is it? I don't know how to say it. Taglit? Taglit, sorry. I mispronounced it. What is
we
this?
need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will, it is the 24/7 news channel of so many of our young people, and it's like Al Jazeera on steroids.
In November of 2023, a recording was leaked of Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, referring to TikTok as a problem that needed to be taken care of.
We have a major generational problem. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old.
I want to point to something here, okay? make no mistake, there are other factors from other sectors that want a TikTok banned as well. Israel and the pro-Israeli lobby simply had enough institutional enforcement capabilities in terms of the legislative body to drag it across the finish line. Because if you think that other people, like, if you think that Facebook's Meta, Zuckerberg, Google, Elon Musk at Twitter, like if you think that those guys didn't want TikTok banned, or at least like take ownership away from the Chinese government and like give it to someone else, but ultimately get it banned or, stop it. If you think that those guys didn't have like an alternative interest in TikTok, you'd be wrong. It benefits them greatly, right? This is why I've also explained that TikTok being banned, technically, as a content creator who's not really on TikTok that much, it benefits me as well, because 170 million people are now going to look to another social media platform. So when I'm defending this on principle, I'm not defending it because of my own personal motivations here, okay? Is someone texting you to add more context? Yeah, dude. The Jews, right? They're texting me to add more context. Is that what you're trying to, what you're trying to say here? Is that what you think is going on? Or do you think I care about the truth and I want to make sure that people are not